وياكي. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا زدنا علما اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما آمين يا رب العالمين. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the especially merciful, all praise and thanks is for Allah. We praise Him, seek His help and forgiveness, and we seek refuge in Allah from evil of our spirits and our bad deeds. Whom Allah guides, no one can misguide, and whom He let go astray, then there is no guide for him. I testify that there is no God except Allah without any partners, and I testify that Muhammad is His slave and messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After that, I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed devil. O my Lord, open my chest, facilitate my task, untie the knot of my tongue, so they may understand my speech. O our Lord, increase us in knowledge. O Allah, benefit us from that which you teach us, and teach us that which is beneficial for us, and increase us in knowledge. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. All right, so we were 2 weeks ago from the break. Before the break, we had started Surah Yusuf. It's a very interesting surah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls it Ahsanul Qasas, which means the best of the stories. So it's a best story narrated by the best narrator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. So the story unfolds about Yusuf alayhi salam. The reason was that Mushrikeen of Makkah, in order to increase opposition to the Prophet ﷺ on the year of grief when he ﷺ lost two supports, Khadija radiallahu anh and his uncle Abu Talib, who was defending him. They both passed away, and Mushrikeen were against Prophet ﷺ that year, and they were bringing new things up. So they went to Jews of Medina and the outskirts of Makkah, and they were trying to dig out stories that they can ask Prophet ﷺ so that they could prove that he is not the true prophet. So they went and asked, and they were given this suggestion by the Jewish tribes that Jewish leaders that they should ask about Yusuf alayhi salam, because up until now in his dawah, Prophet ﷺ had not mentioned anything about Yusuf alayhi salam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this whole surah as in entirety, the story of Yusuf alayhi salam fully with his whole life story. So from the very beginning, we know that the story begins with the dream of Yusuf alayhi salam that he saw, and his father Yaqub alayhi salam understood that this child is special, is chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that he will be given prophethood. And it's completing the chain of the prophethood, because Ibrahim alayhi salam, his son Ishaq, then Ishaq alayhi salam's son Yaqub alayhi salam, and then Yaqub alayhi salam has 12 sons, which are mentioned as asbat in Quran, again and again, asbat. So those 12 tribes, and one of those sons is Yusuf alayhi salam. So those 12 sons, from where 12 tribes of Bani Israel come, then initiate, then they are from the sons of Yaqub alayhi salam. So Yusuf alayhi salam, there from the very beginning, there is natural sibling rivalry anyway, in any house, in every house. But here there is a special circumstance that they're stepbrothers of Yusuf alayhi salam. The 10 older brothers are stepbrothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, and they conspire against him because Yaqub alayhi salam has this special love for him, because probably Yusuf Islam was the nicest child of them all. You know how some Allah chose him for a reason. So when Allah chooses someone, He gives them this special characteristic to carry the message along. And there are reasons Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose someone. So when Allah chose him, there must be a special boy. So Yaqub alayhi salam had special intention towards special care for Yusuf alayhi salam, which caused the other brothers to feel left out. So they planned to get rid of Yusuf alayhi salam so that their father would pay attention to them instead of Yusuf alayhi salam. And Yusuf alayhi salam also had another brother whose name is Binyamin, who was youngest of them all. So there are 12 brothers. And then the brothers, they plan to either kill him or throw him in the well, but then eventually one of them suggests that, we should, had a little kindness in his heart, that we should put him in the well so that we can get rid of him but not hurt him at all. So they throw him in a well, and the travelers find him They take him along and sell him in Egypt, where the minister of Pharaoh purchases him to live in his house. Then, when he grows up in the house, wife of Aziz, who is the minister of Pharaoh, who is also the master of Yusuf al-Islam at that time, she attempts to seduce him to call towards himself herself, but Yusuf al-Islam refuses, and then the story gets around in the town, and then there are other women who get involved, and they also demand the similar thing from Yusuf al-Islam, which Yusuf al-Islam refuses. And then for his own protection, he makes dua from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be imprisoned. And then people who are men, they decide to imprison him in order to solve this problem that was arising in the society. So Yusuf al-Islam is imprisoned, and then in the prison there were two more prisoners who entered in the prison with Yusuf al-Islam, and they see a dream, and they saw one dream, and they both want interpretation from Yusuf al-Islam, and then Yusuf al-Islam gives them dawah first, and then gives them interpretation of their dreams, and eventually, where the interpretation comes true in the end of the story. That's where we finished last class. So one of the two men who entered the prison with Yusuf al-Islam, one of them was going to be saved from the accusation of poisoning the king, if you remember the story. So both of them were imprisoned for the accusation that they both tried to poison the king, but one of them was innocent and the other was not. So the one who wasn't innocent was punished. He was crucified, and the other who was saved from the punishment, Yusuf al-Islam told him to mention about Yusuf al-Islam to his king. So that, because of course Yusuf al-Islam wants to come out of the prison and be somewhere else, not in the house of the same minister, but somewhere else. He doesn't want to remain in the prison. Nobody wants to remain in the prison, right? But what happens? That person who gets freed from the blame of poisoning the king and goes back in service of the king, he forgets. Shaitan makes him forget for us for a very long time, and we learned that bid asinin is mentioned in Quran, which is kind of between 3 to 9 years time frame. So for another era, Yusuf al-Islam is in the prison, and we see how hardships shape your life. Sometimes we feel constricted with the difficulties that we are facing, but we must understand that there is always hikmah behind these difficulties. No matter how difficult a situation is, Allah, if we rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then He will find a way out for us. And this is the trust that we must build on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think there is no better way to build the trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except that we go through these stories, the stories that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Quran, and we see how prophets, how they behaved in a certain situation, what is required from a believer, how a believer is supposed to be. So all these stories are there for us to learn and implement in our lives. We cannot say, some people have this notion that this belief system that they think that, oh, they were prophets, they were chosen people, they behaved in this manner because they were chosen, but they were human beings, and their stories mentioned for us to learn and implement in our lives. So we should not shut down this door on ourselves by just creating this excuse that they were prophets and chosen people. They were also human beings. They had similar emotions, they had similar pain and difficulty that they had to go through. They just had stronger determination of obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And from their stories, we can inshallah learn and implement in our lives. Okay, the story unfolds now. After this very long time period, the king who this man was in service of, who was freed from the blame of poisoning the king, that king sees a dream now. Let's continue with ayah number 43. وَقَالَ الْمَلِكُ إِنِّي أَرَى سَبْعَ بَقَرَاتٍ سِمَانٍ يَأْكُلُهُنَّ سَبْعٌ عِجَافٌ وَسَبْعَ سُنبُلَاتٍ خُضْرٍ وَأُخَرَ يَابِسَاتٍ. The king said, indeed, I saw 7 cows. Now, he saw a dream, and he is mentioning his dream to his people who are in the court, to his elite, so that they would give him interpretation. Anyone would come up with interpretation of what he's seeing in dream. And probably he's seeing this dream consecutively. that made him concerned and worried enough that he brought it up in the court, and he's discussing with other people to give him the interpretation. What he saw in dream was the 7 fat cows eating the 7 lean ones. And then he saw 7 spikes, green spikes of grain. You know how the grains are always in a spike form. There's a ear, and then there are each grain is individually wrapped up into actually, let me show you a picture. Okay, so you have better understanding. See, this is a spike. These are spikes of grain. See how each grain is individually wrapped as well for preservation by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a natural way of preserving the grains. So this is what he saw. He saw dry spikes and then he saw green. So you see that there are green ones here. So he saw 7 green spikes and then he also saw 7 dry ones. And then he's asking everyone to interpret his dream. What happens? Ya ayyuhal mala'u aftuni fi ru'yaya in kuntum lirru'ya ta'burun. Oh, the elite. So he's conversing with his elite. He's asking them this question. Aftuni fi ru'yaya. Give me interpretation of my dream if you wants to interpret the dreams. Yani, if anyone who is knowledgeable to interpret the dreams, then he should help me and interpret my dream. But what happens? What they say? So ru'ya here is the word for dream, and ru'ya, ra hamza ya is the root word from where this word comes, and it means to see as well. Ra'a is to see, and ru'ya comes out from the same root word, and it means to have a dream, to see a dream. So he asked them, if someone has the knowledge to interpret dreams, then you should interpret my dream. قالوا أضغاث أحلام. But no one had the knowledge, so they said these are a mixture of false dreams. Ahlam is also a word hulm, not hilm. Hilm is forbearance. Hulm with the dhamma on ha. Hulm is a false dream. Sometimes we just see our own thoughts and worries and anxieties or excitements in dream. So they said this is a mixture of false dreams. It doesn't have true meaning in it. وَمَا نَحْنُ بِتَأْوِيلِ الْأَحْلَامِ بِعَالِمِينَ. And they also acknowledge that we are not at all knowledgeable to interpret the dreams. So, or the false dreams. So they said that we're not able to interpret it, and they didn't have enough knowledge to interpret that dream, and they thought it's just a random things he's saying because he just probably saw them and thought about it, and that's what these are just hadithun nafs. It's just his own thoughts that are coming into his dream. وقال الذي نجا منهما وادكر بعد أمه. But the one who was saved among the both, who are these two both, the two prisoners who entered with Yusuf alayhi salam in the prison. So one of them was saved after the deceit. So the one who was saved and whom Yusuf alayhi salam told to mention about him to the king, and he forgot, Shaitan made him forget, he was reminded. Waddakara, this word waddakara is from dhikr, dhal kafra, but iddakara, it is changed in order to just for the sake of pronunciation. So iddakara also means to be reminded. So he got reminded after a certain time period. So ummah here is not, ummah generally means nation. Very commonly, ummah is translated as nation, but there are 4 meanings to it. I mentioned earlier. It means a leader, a wide road, and also time period. So ummah here is meant as time period. So after this certain time period of probably 3 to 9 years, we do not know exact number. So after that time period, he was reminded. Why he was reminded? Because the situation arises that king is asking for interpretation of his dream, and no one is able to do that. But he knows that someone who is knowledgeable in the prison who can interpret the dream. So he was reminded of Yusuf alayhi salam in this situation. Ana unabbi'ukum bita'wilihi. And so he said to the king, I will inform you with its interpretation for Silun. So send him where? Send him to the prison. So now he remembers about Yusuf alayhi salam. So he says, he probably mentioned the whole story that there's a man who's knowledgeable in the prison, which is all not mentioned here. But he says, send me. So this farsilun means that he's saying, send me to prison, back to prison, to visit prison, not of course to imprison him. So he can ask for the interpretation of the dream of the king from Yusuf alayhi salam because he is knowledgeable. He has the knowledge to interpret dreams. And then when he reaches the prison, he says, Yusufu ayyuha siddiqu aftina. So he says, O Yusuf, O the truthful, give me interpretation of this. في سبع بقرات سمان يأكلهن سبع نجاف وسبع سنبلات خضر وأخرى يابسات. So he mentions the dream of the king. Give me interpretation of the 7 fat cows eating the 7 lean ones, and then 7 green spikes, and then other 7 dry spikes. لعلي أرجع إلى الناس لعلهم يعلمون, so that I may return to people and then so that they would know. Yani Yusuf al-Islam would give him interpretation of this dream, and then he would go back to the king and in the court, and then he can inform what these things that he's seeing, what it actually means. So people would know the meaning of this dream that king is having. We see here that the king is probably not a Muslim because we know that its Egyptian rule was of pharaohs. And we see here that people of authority sometimes are given dreams that are true so that they can fulfill their responsibility. When someone is given responsibility, they are supported by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if they're Muslim or not. So in the worldly sense, he is being supported by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with dream. And we know many stories where the rulers of the land would see dreams and they would be true. When they would dig deep into the detail of the dream and they would ask for interpretation, then they would go after that interpretation, they would find out that was true. So, and there are many benefits we learned from the stories as well. So that we don't have time to go into the details, but this is true that the leaders usually get these dreams from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if this king is non-Muslim. We know that they're pharaohs. The people living in Egypt under the rule of Pharaoh. So probably that king is a pharaoh as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supports him. And now people want to know, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave importance to Yusuf alayhi salam by teaching him this knowledge which king is in need of. See how refined is plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everyone, not just Yusuf alayhi salam. Imagine all these people who are about to go through something. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing the dream to the king so that the entire community could be saved, entire country or the countries that are around, the whole area, the whole region could be saved from the difficulty that is about to hit. This is mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قَالَ تَزْرَعُونَ سَبْعَ سِنِينَ دَأَبًا فَمَا حَصَدتُّمْ. He said, you will grow, you will cultivate for 7 years consecutively. فَمَا حَصَدتُّمْ فَذَرُوهُ فِي سُنبُلِهِ. Now he's giving advice. So first part, he told him that the green spikes or green fat cows, what it means that you will have lots and lots of cultivation. Yani, sometimes you sow the same seeds and then the crop has so much produce that you can't even imagine that it could come out from the small land. So this is how those 7 good years will be. So consecutively for 7 years, there'll be lots of crops. So now he's giving advice, فَمَا حَصَدتُّمْ فَذَرُوهُ فِي سُنبُلِهِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِمَّا تَأْكُلُونَ. But you should not harvest, which you will harvest. فَمَا حَصَدتُّمْ, which you will harvest, yani you will gain a lot of crop from these 7 years. But you should leave it in its ears, yani leave it in the spike. The spikes that I just showed you, right? How every grain is protected. So that will give a grain a longer life. But once we bring it out of the shell, it quickly rottens. The termites, the other kind of bugs get into the grains and they damage the grain. But as far as it remains in the special covering that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave for the grain, then it will remain protected. So he's giving them advice that you should leave most of it, all of it in the spikes except what you eat. Yani only the ones that you're going to eat, only those you should get them out of the spikes, otherwise leave all of them and store them in spikes. ثم يأتي من بعد ذلك سبع شداد يأكلن ما قدمتم لهن إلا قليلا مما تحسنون. Then will come after that 7 intense years. Sab'un shidadun, yani very difficult 10 years, the 7 years, or which will have drought in it. And because there will be no cultivation in that time, so you will eat in those 7 years what you already sent ahead. Yani qaddamtum is when you send something forward. So whatever those 7 good years produced, you will use that produce that which you stored in these 7 years which you will be stricken by the drought. So all the people, not just those people who are taking care of those grains. Illa qalilan mimma tuhsinun, but you not eat all of it. You will save some of it, so you will preserve it. Why? So that you can regrow the crop in the year after. So if they eat everything, then the year, if the even the rain comes and they don't have anything to sow, then they will not get the crop. So his advice is so complete. He's saying that you will eat most of what you store, but save a little bit, save a few grains to regrow your crop in the next year. ثم يأتي من بعد ذلك عام فيه يغاث الناس وفيه يعصرون. Then will come after that another year in which people will be relieved. Yani yughas is a word, waith is also a word, is used for relief, and it's also used for rain as well. And we see in the Masnoon Dua of Prophet ﷺ that he says, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyumu bi rahmatika astaghis. So it's a kind of relief that is comprehensive. So he's saying that people will have relief in that year, yani they will receive rain, they will have produce again, and then they will press. Fihi yasirun, in which they will press. Yani asr is to squeeze a fruit to get the juice out of it. So they will have lots of fruit that they can squeeze juice out of it or make wine from it, which was very common in the previous nations of the problem. Like even other nations, they did the intoxicated drinks, the wine, and it was not forbidden in their Sharia, but it was forbidden. It is forbidden in the Sharia of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So they were allowed to press wine out of the fruits. وَقَالَ الْمَلِكُ ائْتُونِي بِهِ. And of course, this nation is not practicing Muslims anyway, right? But we see that in the previous Sharias, it was allowed, it wasn't forbidden. وَقَالَ الْمَلِكُ ائْتُونِي بِهِ. And the king said, bring him to me. Now, so Yusuf al-Islam completed the interpretation of the whole dream. This is the detailed advice he's also giving along with the understanding of the dream. So this man, this person who came to him for interpretation. Now we see here Yusuf al-Islam did not use this opportunity to benefit himself. He could have said, take me out of the prison. What do you mean? Take me to the king. I would tell him the interpretation of his dream. What do you mean? I tell you and you will go tell people. We see here not benefiting, not manipulating the situation for his own benefit, even though he could do that. He could benefit from it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him knowledge, but he doesn't do that. And this is where we see the sincerity of a person, that he is sincere for people. He's not putting himself first. And this is a very important lesson we need to learn. Yes, we need to look for our benefits, but not at the cost of hurting other people. So he puts people before himself and he gives the interpretation to that person, and the person goes back to the king, and the king, when he listens to this interpretation, he says, bring him to me, yani bring Yusuf al-Islam to me. فَلَمَّا جَاءَهُ الرَّسُولُ قَالَ ارْجِعْ إِلَى رَبِّكَ فَاسْأَلْهُ مَا بَالُ النِّسْوَةِ الَّتِي قَطَّعْنَ أَيْدِيَهُنَّ. So when messenger of the king, yani someone who brought the message to Yusuf al-Islam that king is calling you, you should go see him, came to Yusuf al-Islam. Yusuf al-Islam said, go back to your master and ask him what is the situation of the women who cut their hands. So he doesn't want to step out of the prison with this blame on him that he was imprisoned for this reason, because this will blemish his character, right? When he goes out and it's not clarified. So he says, ask the king to find out what is the situation of those women, what's going on with them, and what they say about me. Inna Rabbi bikaydihinna alim. Indeed, my Lord is fully knowledgeable of their plot, of their planning. So the evil plot, kaid, is something that is done, has negative connotation to it, yani a bad plan that they made against Yusuf al-Islam. So Yusuf al-Islam is saying that why he's asking for this situation, this scenario to be brought back up again and talked about is not because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needs to know anything. Allah knows. He trusts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, my Lord knows. He's fully knowledgeable of what happened in that situation. But why he's bringing it up right now? So that people would know, the king would know, and his reputation is cleared. Reputation of Yusuf alayhi salam is cleared in the eyes of people. قَالَ مَا خَطْبُكُنَّ. So he said, yani the king called those women to court and he asked them, what is your concern? إِذْ رَاوَدتُّنَّ يُوسُفَ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ. When you seduced Yusuf against his will. So yani he's questioning those women. What those women said, قُلْنَا حَاشَ لِلَّهِ مَا عَلِمْنَا عَلَيْهِ مِنْ سُوءٍ. So they said, preservation for Allah, yani sanctity is for Allah. Hasha lillah is an expression I have told you earlier as well. So they said hasha lillahi, yani as that he is free of blame. They're saying that all praises for Allah. We do not know about him anything evil. Yani Yusuf alayhi salam did not do anything evil. We don't have any knowledge about him that would be bad. قالت امرأة العزيز. So the wife of Aziz, the master of Yusuf alayhi salam, who was the first one to initiate this problem, she said, Al-ana hasas al-haqu. Now, when the truth had already been made clear, it was proven true. Ana arabattuhu an nafsihi. I seduced him against his will. وَإِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. And indeed, he is verily from the truthful. Yani he is truthful. He was right when he said that I'm the one who's trying to attempt to seduce him. He wasn't the one. He wasn't willing to do the same indecent act with me. ذَلِكَ لِيَعْلَمَ أَنِّي لَمْ أَخُنْهُ بِالْغَيْبِ. That is so he knows that I was not deceitful in the unseen. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَهْدِي كَيْدَ الْخَائِنِينَ. And indeed Allah does not make the plot of deceitful any guidance. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not make it successful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not bring any guidance. You know how when you start doing something with good intention, you start getting ideas in your head. You get inspirations of doing this and that and adding this into that project. So you kind of get that inspiration from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, this part means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not give that guidance to the evil plots. We can understand this statement from ذَلِكَ لِيَعْلَمَ in two ways, that it is the wife of so with Tafseer actually mentioned it in the two ways. That one is that Yusuf alayhi salam said that so that everyone would know that I wasn't deceitful in the place where no one was watching me. And he trusts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not guide the plan of people who are deceitful. So they'll never be successful against Yusuf alayhi salam. Or it is the wife of Aziz who attempted on Yusuf alayhi salam against his will. So she is saying that so that that I was not deceived. I was not trying to deceive him. When Yusuf said this statement, then he was not deceitful towards the master. And I was the one who said it. The next ayah as well is connecting with that. So it is the women who was doing the evil action. And it shows that once someone is doing the evil action, then they're not necessarily totally evil. They could have a time frame where they repent and they become good. So she has some good in it, but mainly I think this ayah is more appropriate when we understand it from the point of view of Yusuf alayhi salam, that this statement is made by Yusuf alayhi salam, that he trusts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not guide the plot of those who are deceitful. And also he wanted to make everybody know that when he was accused of this act, he wasn't deceitful when no one else was watching. He was sincere and truthful in his statements. وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي. And I do not absolve myself from the sinfulness. إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي. Indeed, the soul entices a person, inclines a person to evil, except on whom Allah was merciful. Yani naturally, the spirit has the inclination to do bad deeds, except on whom Allah was merciful and protected him from that evil action. We learned that concept in the story earlier where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if we had not shown Yusuf alayhi salam the signs, he might have slipped in that situation. So this is what illa ma rahima rabbi means. That if we are able to protect ourselves from a bad situation, from committing a bad deed, then it means it is Allah's mercy on us. So there should be no pride. It should kill the pride that we are some really pious and righteous people, and it was our ability that we protected ourselves. No, it is Allah's mercy on us. And of course, there is a chain of reaction of good deeds. When we are submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes for us. And this is required from a person to initiate and have this sincerity in obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This statement as well is understood two ways. Inna Rabbi Ghafur Rahim, indeed my Lord is most forgiving, especially merciful. So Imam Tabari has said that this statement was made by the woman, the wife of Aziz, who attempted on Yusuf alayhi salam, the indecent acts, that I do not free myself from the blame. Yani she's saying that, because naturally spirit has the desire to do bad deeds, that's why I committed it. I wouldn't say that I am free of any sins or anything. Indeed, my Lord is forgiving and merciful. But Ibn Taymiyyah says that this statement is made by Yusuf alayhi salam, that he's saying that I do not free myself from, I'm not saying that I am a extremely pious or righteous person, or I'm free of any, like he's free from this blameworthy action, but he's not claiming purity for himself. And he's saying that naturally a soul is inclined to evil except on whom Allah was merciful. Yani he's accepting that it was Allah's mercy that protected him from in that situation. And it's already mentioned, right? This understanding is very clearly mentioned earlier in the story when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him sign, and he also said that please imprison me. I would prefer in prison. If I'm not put in the prison, I'm not taken out from the situation, I'm afraid that I will slip and make this mistake. So he's saying that I'm not saying that I am totally pious and even if I was in that situation, I would be completely safe from it. I'm not claiming purity for myself. Rather, soul is naturally inclined, but it is Allah's mercy that He protected me, and my Lord is forgiving and merciful. So because He has that faith, because He is a chosen prophet, so He has that knowledge and understanding of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However the case be, the situation is very clear here that this whole conversation that is going on in the court is clarifying that Yusuf al-Islam was freed from this blame that he was accused with and imprisoned with. And when he's coming out of the prison, he's freed from that blame, because the women accepted already that it was their fault. They were the blameworthy ones. They were the ones trying to seduce Yusuf alayhi salam against his will. وَقَالَ الْمَلِكُ ائْتُونِي بِهِ أَسْتَخْلِصْهُ لِنَفْسِي. The king said, bring him to me, I will make him exclusive for myself. Yani king by this time is so impressed with Yusuf alayhi salam's character that he said that I want him to be exclusively working for me in my service. So the king again says, bring him to me. Yani it shows that when this whole scenario is going on in the court and discussion is going on, Yusuf alayhi salam is still in the prison because he didn't step out of it yet. فَلَمَّا كَلَّمَهُ, now he's brought out at the second request of the king. After the situation is resolved, the blame is cleared from Yusuf alayhi salam, then he spoke to him. Yani the king spoke to Yusuf alayhi salam. قَالَ إِنَّكَ الْيَوْمَ لَدَيْنَا مَكِينٌ أَمِينٌ. He said, indeed, today you will be near us in a secure place. Yani you will have a safe, secure place to be with us. Yani he will be saved from the prison. He will be in a very good place near the king, working in service of the king. قَالَ اجْعَلْنِي عَلَى خَزَائِنِ الْأَرْضِ. He said, Yani Yusuf alayhi salam replied to the king, Appoint me on the treasures of the earth. Inni hafizun alim. Indeed, I am a guard, a preserver, and knowledgeable. So we see here, suddenly Yusuf al-Islam asks for a position. This shows us that if we are capable of taking care of our responsibility, we know we are skillful, we have this ability, then we should not feel shy and stay back in demanding or asking for a position. So we learn from his practice that yes, he is humble, but wherever he saw to step forward and ask for something, then he did that. So Yusuf al-Islam asks the king to make him the finance minister. Allah khazain al-ardi. This is how we understand in today's time, right? Khazain are the treasures of the earth, yani whatever was in his land under the pharaoh. Yusuf al-Islam is asking to be made the finance minister for the pharaoh. And he mentions his qualities here. He says, I am a preserver, I have the ability to protect, and I'm also knowledgeable. We see this is not pride. It's like, you're giving your resume to someone. When you're making your resume, you don't have to be humble. No, I don't have these abilities. No, I can't do it. Nobody's going to give you a job. So he is presenting himself with his skills, not with pride, but so that he shows that he is qualified to take care of the position that he's asking for. And there is no haraj in it. That we sometimes mention our qualities at a correct place. Not that sometimes people have the habit of boasting themselves and thinking, oh yeah, I am so good in this, I'm so good in that. That's pride and that's boasting, which is disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when we are presenting ourselves for a responsibility, then we should mention our qualities that, okay, yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me with these qualities. These are special things that I am blessed with, so I can take care of this job really well. So we can mention our good qualities in that situation. وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا لِيُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ يَتَبَوَّأُ مِنْهَا حَيْثُ يَشَاءُ. And likewise, we settled Yusuf in the earth so that he lives in it however he wishes. So this is a situation when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings Yusuf al-Islam out of slavery and out of prison and give him a good settlement. He makes him a minister. And see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, so he lives in it however he wishes. Now Yusuf al-Islam chose a position himself for himself. So we see when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put him through that difficulty, all that patience and endurance made him so strong. When time came, he was ready to take it. And this is what difficulty does to us if we are open-minded. Sometimes people go in depression and we don't even want to accept the difficulty, but the difficulty is not there to break you. If you accept it with open mind and learn what it is teaching you, then you will come out of it more stronger, and you will be able to take that opportunity on with that strength that was given to you in that difficulty. Otherwise you won't be able to have, if we don't go through those difficulties. All of you have lived a certain time period of your life, and you see how certain situations taught you something, made you stronger. Now you have that experience in your book which tells you, okay, whenever another situation comes in, I know I'm already prepared, I know how to behave in this situation. So this is what difficulty does to us. And we see how Yusuf alayhi Islam, for years he's in service of a minister, a slave working in the house. Then he's imprisoned for years. Then if there was a person who was negative about it, they would probably, some people commit suicide, right? When they go through difficult situation, they give up. And the max of giving up is they take their life. They think they have no hope. But that's the wrong attitude. The correct attitude is that we learn and we remain patient. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open up ways for us. We have to wait to see what comes next in future for us. Nasibu bi rahmatina man nasha. A share with our mercy to whom we wish. Yani this kind of share in the earth, in the land, is not just particular to the prophets or Yusuf al-Islam. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives this share of the worldly life with his mercy to whomever he wishes. وَلَا نُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, and we do not waste reward of the doers of good. So when we are in a difficult situation and we are not ready to give up and we're doing good to the best of our ability, whatever we can do in that situation, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not waste it. Yani, all the hard work that we're putting in, all the suffering that we are going through will be rewarded sometimes within this life, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Man nasha'u, whom we wish. Yani, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala see a person when the person proves themselves capable of taking on that big responsibility, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them the share of dunya. But otherwise, the reward of afterlife is preserved on the patients. There's no doubt about it. But then some of us are given this great gift in dunya as well, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said He does not waste the reward of the doers of good. وَلَأَجْرُ الْآخِرَةِ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. Yani, yes, there is reward in dunya for some people, but for the reward of afterlife, verily, is better for those who believe, and they are who adopt taqwa. Yani, two properties, people of Iman who have taqwa, for them the reward of afterlife is better. Yani, some of us will get some reward in dunya, but the greater share is to come in afterlife, and this is what we should opt for. And the properties that we should have are iman and taqwa, because taqwa helps a person protect the iman and work in obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And eventually a person becomes a pious person because of implementing what they learn and protecting their iman and growing their iman through taqwa, with the help of taqwa. وَجَاءَ إِخْوَةُ يُوسُفَ فَدَخَلُوا عَلَيْهِ فَعَرَفَهُم. Now the next story starts. Now Yusuf al-Islam is a minister. The 7 years of great production where there was a lots and lots of produce has passed away. Now the 7 difficult years have started. 7 good years passed. 7 difficult years are started. People are drought stricken. They don't have food. Nobody stored food because they did not know what's coming next. But this kingdom, the king knew what's coming because of the dream that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him, and also Yusuf al-Islam was able to interpret and put in plan all that was needed to protect the future years, not just his nation, rather all the nations around him as well. Now people are from different lands coming to buy food from them, because they might have other commodities and money and everything, but they don't have food because the earth is growing nothing. It is drought stricken. Brothers of Yusuf al-Islam also end up coming to get food from Yusuf al-Islam. And this is how the story starts in the next part of it. وَجَاءَ إِخْوَةُ يُوسُفَ فَدَخَلُوا عَلَيْهِ فَعَرَفَهُم. And brothers of Yusuf entered upon him. Yani, they came to get food, and Yusuf al-Islam was there when food is being given. As he saw his brothers entering that place where they were going to receive food, they came to get food, he recognized them. وَهُمْ لَهُ مُنْكِرُونَ. While they were not able to recognize him because he was young. He was young and little, but he saw them all as grown-up men. So he recognized them, but they couldn't recognize him. Also, part of it is that they probably never imagined that Yusuf al-Islam would come out of the well and become the finance minister in such a huge kingdom where they will go in need of asking for food. وَلَمَّا جَهَّزَهُم بِجَهَازِهِمْ. And when their belongings, their baggage was so they were given that luggage that they were there for, and this part is that every person was given a camel load of food. So when these brothers, they came and they asked for food, they were given, only 10 of them came to receive the food. So they were given their food accordingly because 10 of them showed up. قَالَ ائْتُونِي بِأَخٍ لَكُم مِّنْ أَبِيكُمْ. He said, bring to me with your brother from your father. So by now, he has already talked to them to a level where they have already shared with him that they have another brother. So probably they demanded for a camel load for the brother who didn't came, Binyamin, who wasn't with them. But he told them that you should bring your brother who's from your father. Probably they gave him the whole story that why he's not here with us and he's only a brother from our father's side, because he's clearly mentioning to them that bring your brother to me who is from your father's side, not the mother's side, right? Because they had different mothers. ألا ترون أني أوفي الكيل وأنا خير المنزلين? Don't you see that I give full measure and I am best of those who are hospitable? So probably he was really hospitable to them. He took care good care of them. He gave them good place to stay. You know how people travel far in lands and then they need a place to stay, right? So he gave them. He was a good host towards them. Now he's telling them to bring his brother to him so that he can also receive his camel load. And he's trying to convince them with this argument that don't you see that how good I am to you and how, I gave you full measure, I didn't reduce anything for you. فَإِن لَمْ تَأْتُونِي بِهِ فَلَا كَيْلَ لَكُمْ عِنْدِي وَلَا تَقْرَبُونَ. And if you don't bring him to me, then there'll be no measure for you from me, and you will not be brought near. So he's kind of giving them a threat as well, that you have to, next time you come here, bring your brother with you, because otherwise I'm not going to give you any food, and you won't be receiving this hospitality that I'm giving you, that you have received right now. قالوا سنراود عنه أباه. So they said, we will definitely convince about him, his father. But notice they're saying his father, Abahu, his father. It's the same father that they all have, but they're saying we will definitely convince his father to send him with us. And we're definitely going to do it. Yani they're planning in their head, and they're saying, we'll definitely bring him. We'll definitely be able to achieve this. Don't get worried about it. We will bring him. So they kind of proving that they'll not be unsuccessful in bringing the brother. Right now, they do not know Yusuf al-Islam's intentions, why he's asking them to bring that younger brother with them. وَقَالَ لِفِتْيَانِهِ اجْعَلُوا بِضَاعَتَهُمْ فِي رِحَالِهِمْ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَعْرِفُونَهَا. So he said, yani Yusuf al-Islam said to his one of his slaves, one of his boys in service, Fityanihi is from Fata. Fata are the young boys who are working in service. So he said to one of his serving boys to put their payment in their luggage. Yani, so the amount or the things that they brought to receive food in exchange, Yusuf al-Islam wanted to return that money or whatever those things were back to them so that they recognize it. Yani, they would recognize that their payment for the food has been returned to them. إِذَا قَلَبُوا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمْ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. When they return to their family, so that they would come back. So that they would return. Yani, what if they don't have any money to come back and buy more food? This is one of the things that we could account for why Yusuf al-Islam is returning the money. But he wants to make sure they come back. When they go back to the family, this was one of the ways that, what we got the food, we got the money as well. So this is really a good opportunity. We should go back and get the food. Probably he'll be really good to us again as well. فَلَمَّا رَجَعُوا إِلَىٰ أَبِيهِمْ. So when they returned to their father, yani the 10 brothers who got the food from Yusuf al-Islam, they went back to their father, who is Yaqub al-Islam. قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا مُنِيَ مِنَ الْكَيْلُ. They said to our father, share of the mayor was refused from us, yani the share of the brother Binyamin, who wasn't with us, that share has been refused from us. We were not given food for him. فَأَرْسِلْ مَعَنَا أَخَانَا نَقْتَلْ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. So send with us our brother. We will get his mayor, we will get the mayor, and we will definitely be protecting him. We will definitely be protectors for him. So now they're claiming the same thing that they claimed for Yusuf al-Islam. They said, send him with us, we will protect him. Now they're in the same situation, in the dire need to take the brother back, but they already have a bad reputation, which will follow them. So how the father replies, how Yaqub al-Islam replied, قَالَ هَلْ آمَنُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ إِلَّا كَمَا أَمِنْتُكُمْ عَلَىٰ أَخِيهِ مِنْ قَبْلُ. So he mentions it. He says that Should I entrust you with him just like I entrusted you with his brother before? فَاللَّهُ خَيْرٌ حَافِظًا. He mentions it to them, but then he says, thus Allah is the best of the protectors. Yani, if I decide to send Binyamin with you, then I'm not going to rely on the fact that you said you will protect him. Rather, Allah is the protector. If I had to send him with you, then Allah will preserve him. Allah will protect him. وَهُوَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. And He is the most merciful of those who show mercy. Yani, now he's trying to convince Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's saying that Allah is very extremely merciful. He'll not take away another son from me. So that's what he's hoping and desiring by sending his son away. وَلَمَّا فَتَحُوا مَتَاعَهُمْ وَجَدُوا بِضَاعَتَهُمْ رُدَّتْ إِلَيْهِمْ. When they opened their belongings, their luggage, so now they came back and they haven't opened their luggage yet, but they're trying to convince their father before they open their luggage. Now they opened their luggage, they found their payment returned to them. So the payment which was placed in their baggage by Yusuf alayhi salam with the help of the boy, the boy in service of him, his slave, his servant, they found it in their luggage. So now they became more excited. قالوا يا أبانا ما نبغي. They said, "Oh our father, what else we can desire? هذه بضاعتنا ردت إلينا. This is our payment which is returned to us. ونمير أهلنا ونحفظ أخانا ونزداد كيل بعير." We will definitely we are able to get a mayor. Yani, now we have the money. It's not that we don't have money to go back and get food. Now we are able to get mayor. We'll protect our brother and will increase a mayor for a camel load. Ba'ir is a camel load. So because the king was giving one camel load for each person, so that's why they're saying that we'll get another camel load for our brother and we'll protect him. ذَلِكَ كَيْلٌ يَسِيرٌ. This is an easy measure. So now in their head, they're imagining that this is going to be really easy thing. We have the money, we can go back, we'll take our brother and we'll get a share for him as well. قَالَ لَنْ أُرْسِلَهُ مَعَكُمْ حَتَّى تُؤْتُونِ مَوْثِقًا مِّنَ اللَّهِ. Yaqub al-Islam said, I will never send him with you until you would give me a strong oath from Allah, yani by Allah. You will take an oath at the name of Allah, then لَتَأْتُنَّنِي بِهِ, that you will bring him back to me, except that you were surrounded. Yani, except that you were incapable, you were struck by a situation where it's beyond your capacity to bring him back. You have to give me an oath that you will definitely bring him back to me, except that you are, and he's a prophet, right? He knows that human beings are limited in capacity. And this is something very important, that sometimes we make our children responsible for a certain thing, but then our expectations should be in check. We should see whatever they were able to achieve, and not just children, our subordinates as well, anyone working for us as well, our servants as well. We should understand that they're humans, they are limited in capacity. They might not be able to fulfill the expectations that we have from them, and we should remember to appreciate whatever they were able to achieve. So this is what he's saying, that except you were completely unable to bring him back, you must take promise that you will bring him back. Only then I'll send him with you. Otherwise, I will never send him with you. فَلَمَّا آتَوْهُ مَوْثِقَهُمْ قَالَ اللَّهُ عَلَى مَا نَقُولُ وَكِيلٌ. Then when they gave him their promise, then he said, Allah is on whatever we say a wakil, a trustee. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. You are on, yani he's bringing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this scenario that you are responsible for yourself, for your words, because Allah is watching. He is the trustee. He is watching you. You're taking this oath in front of him. وقال يا بني لا تدخلوا من باب واحد وادخلوا من أبواب متفرقة. And when he's sending them off, he's saying, oh my sons, do not enter from a single door. Yani when you get there, enter the city. So he understands that there are 11 brothers entering together. They might get an evil eye, or might intimidate other people with their strength and number. So he's advising them to go from different doors, not together, all 11 from one door. وَادْخُلُوا مِنْ أَبْوَابٍ مُتَفَرِّقَةٍ, enter from various doors. وَمَا أُغْنِي عَنْكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. Yani, this is my advice to you to protect you, but I will not be able to avail you or benefit you from Allah with anything. Yani, if Allah has a plan for you, a different plan than what I desire, then I will not be, this planning of mine and this advice of mine will not be able to protect you at all if Allah has a different decree for you. Inil hukmu illa lillahi, the authority is only with Allah. Alayhi tawakkaltu, on Him I trust. Wa alayhi falyatawakkalil mutawakkilun, and on Him all those who place their trust should trust. Yani, he's saying that I'm trusting on Allah and everyone should trust on Allah as well. Yani, if you place your trust, don't place your trust on your ability or on your strength, on your number. Rather, place your trust on Allah as well. And everyone should place their trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a very important lesson that we sometimes we think we have means, we have strength, and we'll be able to do it, and we fail because our reliance is on our means and on our number. And we learned many stories from Sirah as well about it. We don't have time to discuss all of them. Inshallah, we'll stop, pause here because the story continues. The story will continue in the next class as well. What happens when they go there and how it unfolds. So, inshallah, we'll continue learning from ayah number 68 in the next class. We'll conclude here. If you have any questions, then please go ahead and ask. Otherwise, inshallah, that will be the end of the class. Any comments as well are okay. No question. That's okay.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and block that girl, Kate, for me. That's my comment. Kate Bennett. I don't know what her name is. Report her for bullying before she airs that video.
Please don't be worried. Okay, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Alaikum assalam.